Hey everyone, I'm Warren. I'm a corporate banker in the City of London, and I'm here to make wealth building simple and accessible because your wealth matters. As always, let me know in the comments below if you have any questions on today's video or you want me to cover future topics in future videos. So I started my property investing journey in 2017, 4 years ago. Today, I have 4 properties, including the one that I live in with my wife right now. And the question that I get all the time is, Warren, how did you manage to buy 4 properties in the UK in 4 years? Well, today I'm going to finally tell you how I robbed a bank, the strategy I used, the time of day that I did it, the people inside that I bribed, all of the secrets. Just kidding, I didn't bother bribing anyone. But no, seriously, I'm going to tell you how I bought 4 properties in 4 years. Just a regular guy from a council estate in southeast London. Today I own 4 properties and I'm looking to expand my portfolio. I want to get to 10, 20, and I'm going to tell you how I started and hopefully encourage you to do the same. So let's start at the beginning. The year was 2015. I was in work. I was working in the City of London in the banking industry, working mad hours, guys, absolutely mad hours. If any of you have worked in consulting in financial services, you'll know what the hours were like. I was doing a lot of work abroad. It was hardcore. And long story short, I actually got burnt out over a period of time. I didn't know what burnout was. I didn't know what the symptoms were, what it felt like. I just knew that I wasn't feeling quite right. And guys, I actually wasn't able to go into work for, when I totaled it up, the best part of 8 months. I wasn't able to do a full day at work. I had blood tests done. I had nerve conduction studies done. I had MRI scans done. Those ones when you go in that tube and you can't move for like an hour and really loud. I don't know if anyone's ever had an MRI scan on their whole body, but it is horrible. So I had that done. All types of tests, trying to figure out what was wrong. They all came back negative, thank God. But eventually I was told that I was burnt out. I was working too hard. So anyway, I got to a point, guys, when I said, I'm in my 20s. I'm burnt out. I can't go into work. I had a lot of time at home. I was literally in bed.
It's above me now.
For the best part of that time, not able to process or even do simple tasks. And I said, well, this isn't what I signed up for. I didn't sign up for being burnt out in my 20s and incapacitated. So I decided to go traveling for a year. I went to, not to make you jealous at all, but I went to Australia, South Africa, Sri Lanka, parts of Europe, volunteered on an elephant sanctuary. I did a lot of stuff. New Zealand as well, can't forget New Zealand. And I did that to get away and really reassess what I wanted from life and think about what I wanted to do career-wise and money-wise, and think about what I wanted from life going forwards. So over that year of traveling, guys, I came to the conclusion that I obviously need to pay bills. I'm coming back to London eventually. I'm gonna have bills to pay. I'm gonna have a rent / a mortgage to pay. It costs to live. So I needed an income. But in parallel to that, guys, I also wanted quality of life. I wanted to have an income, but also have freedom, not be worked to the bone. I wanted to work to live instead of live to work. I wanted freedom to go on holiday whenever I want. I wanted freedom to wake up whenever I want. And that is what I'm working towards. Eventually, I want to be out of work. But back on topic, I needed to replace my income. So I thought about the ways in which I could do that. I thought about starting a business. I didn't have any good ideas, guys. I still don't have any good ideas in terms of starting a business. It's a really big sacrifice. I've got friends. You might have friends as well with their own businesses. And there's a lot that goes into it. I see a lot of businesses as well. Being in the industry that I'm in, within banking, we have a lot of clients that, you know, are businesses, large businesses. It takes a lot to run a business. But anyway, that wasn't for me. I didn't have an idea at the time. I looked into stocks and shares, guys, and to earn a regular income, because you need thousands of pounds really to live in the UK per month. That's going to cover all of your bills and all of your wants and your needs. So in order to get that sort of regular dividend from stocks and shares, you have to have literal millions invested in the stock market to get that back regularly. I don't have millions. I didn't have millions then. I don't have millions now. One day, Lord willing. But that wasn't an option for me. And then lastly, I looked into property. Now, property really resonated with me, guys, because with property, you can get that regular monthly income from your rent, depending on the strategy that you choose. And also you get that capital appreciation, which is a rise in the value of the actual property itself over time. So 2 types of return. And whilst I was out on the beach in Australia, in New Zealand, in South Africa, I did have a lot of time. So I spent time, I started to research into property then. I started to research, what types of property could I potentially buy? Could I buy houses, flats, commercial property? How much do properties cost? What are the costs that you have to put up and the fees, like lawyer costs, brokerage costs, insurances? How does the process of actually buying a property work? How do you find a property? How do you find a good lawyer? All of that, guys. I just spent a lot of time educating myself whilst I was away, and also for a year whilst I came back to London. Knowledge is power, guys. I've learned firsthand that if you educate yourself well, if you plan well, it's very hard to actually go wrong in property. If you have the knowledge in place, if you put in the time and the effort to educate yourself, if you plan 5-10 years ahead, you're very likely to succeed, guys. So let's talk about the money, because that's probably what you all want to know. I own 3 buy-to-let properties up north that all cost around about the 100k mark. I also own my own property with my wife, and I own the other buy-to-lets with my wife as well. That costs just over £360,000. So when you add those all together, when you add the deposits for those 3 buy-to-lets and also the deposit for the house that we live in, I use the Help to Buy scheme on that. Altogether for those deposits, we're talking just over 90k, guys, plus the stamp duties and the legal fees and the brokerage fees that you have to pay. So we're probably talking about 110k altogether for that. And I did that in 4 years, guys. So how did I do that? Well, it was actually very simple, guys. I needed to increase my income. I came back from traveling at the end of 2015 with no job and 15k worth of debt. You can watch some of my earlier videos for that. So I started from zero, and I said to myself, I do have a background in banking. However, if I go back into the job that I was in before, it's going to take me like 100 years to save that amount of money and actually get to a decent sized portfolio. So I said, I need to find a way to double, even triple my previous income. How did I do that, guys? Via contracting. So for those of you who don't know, a lot of you will know what contracting is already, but for those of you who don't know, contracting is doing a job, normally projects, for 6 to 12 months, but they can extend you way beyond then. And you're brought in on a daily rate. You don't get a wage. You don't get all of the benefits that you get from being a permanent member of staff. So stuff like health insurance, life insurance, a pension, paid days off, sick leave, all of that. You don't get none of that. As a contractor, you show up, you get paid. That's a contract, that's a deal between you and the company. But in return for that, in return for being a specialist and coming into a company, hitting the ground running, delivering a project, not taking any benefits and leaving at the end of it, you get paid a much higher rate. And that can work out to double, triple your salary over the course of the year. So that's what I do, guys. I also retrained in a new specialism that was gonna get me more money. So I used to be a specialist in what we call credit risk. Now I do operational risk. And that was a big step, guys. I had to take on that risk of retraining in another area and effectively starting my career again in a new specialism. But I had a long-term plan in mind. I knew where I wanted to get to, and these were some of the steps and the sacrifices that I had to take to get there. And now I'm here 4 years later with 4 properties to show for it. It works, guys. And then lastly, guys, and this is probably the biggest one, deferred gratification, right? What do I mean by that? I saved religiously. During the last 6 years, guys, I haven't been spending money on clothes, on cars. I do have a car, but I lease it. It's a cheap, basic car. I haven't been going on extravagant holidays. I haven't been buying flat screen TVs. I haven't been buying jewelry, Fabergé eggs. None of that, guys. I have been saving. I have been saving religiously, disciplined, because I know where I want to get to. I don't want to be working for a company when I'm 40. I want to be on a beach somewhere. I want to be on a yacht with my wife, with my kids. Maybe not a yacht, a dinghy's probably more realistic. But I want to be on holiday a couple of times a year in my 40s. I want to be enjoying life. I want to be free. I want to wake up when I want. I want to go to bed when I want. And that's why I'm sacrificing now. Realistically, I think it's probably going to take another 4 or 5 years to get to that point, but I'm more than willing to do it so I can live out the rest of my life in the way that I want to, guys. So deferred gratification, being consistent, being disciplined really is the key to all of this. So I hope that was useful. If you have any more questions about anything else that I've spoken about or anything that I haven't spoken about, put it in the comment section below. Drop this video a like, share it with a friend if you think it will inspire someone else, and I'll see you guys soon.